кто готовил вооруженный мятеж, встал на путь шантажа и террористических методов.
In Russia, the cracks in Vladimir Putin's power structure are becoming more apparent. Once a symbol of unchallenged authority, the Kremlin now faces unprecedented public dissent, economic turmoil, and elite defiance. Oligarchs, once loyal to Putin's regime, are now openly criticizing the government's handling of the economy. This shift marks a significant turning point in Russia's political landscape. Russia's economic foundations are showing signs of significant strain. According to reports, nearly one-third of the country's largest companies reported losses in the first half of 2025, the highest share since the COVID-19 pandemic. Collectively, these companies lost over 5 trillion rubles, approximately $62 billion, highlighting the severe impact of ongoing sanctions and the war in Ukraine on the nation's economy. The economic downturn is further exacerbated by a series of tax hikes introduced by the Kremlin. In an effort to balance the budget amidst declining revenues, the Russian government has increased the value-added tax, VAT, from 20% to 22%, effective January 1, 2026. It is anticipated that this action may raise inflation, since companies will probably pass the greater expenses on to customers. The government has also implemented new levies on products like fuel and increased personal and corporate income taxes. The average Russian citizen, who is already struggling with growing costs and economic instability, is being strained by these policies. A sharp drop in oil and gas earnings has made the government's financial problems worse. These income dropped precipitously from late 2024 levels to less than 500 billion rubles, $6.3 billion, in June 2025. Western sanctions, a stronger currency, and a drop in demand for Russian energy exports are some of the factors contributing to this decline. The drop in energy revenues is particularly concerning, as they have traditionally been a major source of income for the Russian government.
Of course, our great strategist Putin has many achievements, but the most outstanding ones, in my opinion, are the following. He replaced truth and reality with wild propaganda. He increased Russia's borders with NATO by more than 1,500 kilometers. He drove Russia into complete dependence on China. He lost more than $500 billion in frozen assets. He lost the European market, the largest and most profitable market for oil and gas. He lost most exports of metals, timber, and coal. He lost a huge number of specialists, as well as the active and able-bodied population. He massively increased the outflow of capital from the country. He lost the market for space launches and scientific space exploration. He destroyed the air transport market. He put a big cross over world sports. Of course, Russian athletes can pretend that everything is fine, but I am sure that deep down, they hate Putin for this. The dream of every professional athlete is the Olympic Games and World Championships. He raised the retirement age, yet there's still no money for pensions. But when it comes to war, there is money. And that's the paradox. He turned Russia into a terrorist state, despised now by the entire civilized world. He made Russia the leader in the number of sanctions imposed in history. He made outcasts Russia's friends: North Korea, Iran, the Taliban, Hamas, and other riffraff. He orchestrated genocide and repression. He increased crime in the country. He unleashed a bloody war that nobody needed, on which hundreds of billions of dollars have already been spent. He disgraced the army. If it weren't for this war, the whole world would still consider the Russian army the second strongest in the world. He united all Ukrainians and the entire civilized world in hatred toward Russia. He brought shame upon Russia before the whole world. And this list could go on. But is there any point? I think it's clear enough already. Volodya, as always, outplayed everyone.
In response to these economic challenges, President Putin has warned Europe of a significant response if it continues to arm and support Ukraine. Speaking at a forum in Sochi, Putin accused European nations of escalating the conflict and dismissed concerns over a possible war with Russia. This rhetoric underscores the Kremlin's determination to maintain its influence over Ukraine and resist external pressure. Domestically, the Russian government's crackdown on dissent is intensifying. Nearly 2 treason or espionage convictions are being rendered daily in 2025, according to recent reports, with people earning severe prison sentences for anti-war remarks or alleged disloyalty. Some journalists have been sentenced for wearing anti-war t-shirts or posting critical content online, while a Russian court sentenced a journalist to 12 years in prison for alleged ties to opposition groups. The Kremlin's efforts to stifle dissent and keep control of public opinion are reflected in these initiatives. The way the government handled the rights of minority shareholders during recent asset seizures further muddies the waters. The government's attempts at nationalization have drawn criticism from the Russian central bank, which claims that they broke laws safeguarding minority investors. This marks a rare instance of elite pushback against the state's economic policies and raises concerns about the rule of law and investor confidence in Russia. As the economic crisis deepens, the Russian public is increasingly feeling the effects. With inflation rising and essential goods becoming more expensive, many citizens are struggling to make ends meet. The government's attempts to address the budget deficit through tax hikes are placing additional burdens on the population, leading to widespread dissatisfaction. This growing discontent could have significant implications for the stability of the current regime. In conclusion, Russia is facing a confluence of economic challenges, political repression, and public unrest. The government's handling of these issues will be crucial in determining the country's future trajectory. As the situation evolves, it will be important to monitor developments closely to understand the full scope of the crisis and its potential impact on both Russia and the international community.
Good afternoon, friends. The city of Orsk. Today we had a drone attack in our city. Our factories were targeted. And right away, one recalls that incident when a letter about attacks on certain Russian cities was circulating online. I think it mentioned 20 cities. And now people have once again faced the same situation. Many are simply in shock because they didn't believe it, as usual, saying that it wouldn't reach them. Well, as you can see, it all happened. So far, there is no official information. And the question goes to the government. Where is our security? On the website about ways to protect oneself. Well, most likely, that just means basements. In kindergartens, children were taken into the corridors. I don't know where people at work are supposed to run in such a situation. Gasoline prices immediately spike at gas stations because oil refineries are suffering again. Comrades, I think it's time for us to get our minds right and start uniting. No one is going to save us. Let's peacefully express our protest by declaring distrust of such a system of power. That's it. Bye-bye. Thank you. Peace to your home. Thank you. Thank you.